Hello, everyone. My name is Nile Gooden. This is my senior project. We're just gonna get right into it. So the name of my senior project is called Getting It All Together, using FL Studio for music production. A little about me: I had a good upbringing. I was real close to family and friends. I still am to this day. Um, my early discovery of my personal interest as a kid was when I discovered that I liked video games and eating out with the family, uh, hanging out with my friends, um, every chance I can get. I'll do my homework and so I can go outside and play. This was every day after school. I just started to kind of develop what I like to do as a person. Um, Music has always been a part of my life since the age of 7. And the reason why I say since the age of 7 was because at the age of 7, for Christmas, I received a drum set for Christmas. And the reason why I got a drum set for Christmas, I kind of asked around, for a long time up until Christmas. One of my friends had a drum set, and so I would see him always playing the drums every time I went over his house and visited. And I just kind of was influenced, and I really just had a knack for beating on the drums, even though I didn't know what I was quite doing at that time. But um, yeah, so it kind of started to develop my whole musical background right at the age of 7. My parents influenced my taste of music um, by always putting on music in the car. We would have long car rides, or when we would go on family trips. Um, my mom and my dad would always play, their style of music, or all of the artists that they like. They would they would play it in the car, and so I always, remember everything that my mom and dad, all of that type of music that they like to play. Um, it soon became my favorite music, like such as Snoop Dogg and Slick Rick. A lot of the artists from the 80s and the 90s. Um, I had a lot of family involvement in music. My grandfather was the lead singer for the Southern Gospel Singers. He passed away in 2015. But he was real big in gospel music, and a lot of of my family are too. A lot of my aunts they sing in choirs, and um, I got a few cousins who they dibble and dabble into the beat production and mixing and mastering and stuff like that. Um, yeah, on to the next slide. The road to discovery. Um, I was influenced by a friend that played the drums, as I said in the last slide. It just intrigued me so much that I really needed to get that drum set for Christmas. And once I got the drum set for Christmas, it was pretty much over with. um, I practiced playing the drums every day, all day. So this is like right at the time where it was. I saw that the more music, the better that you're gonna get, and you know, after spending hours of just, beating on the drums, it didn't really sound like much at first, but then it gradually like advanced to, starting to sound like a song or a beat pattern that I was able to come up with. Um, I got a keyboard piano for Christmas as a kid. Uh, this was around, I believe, age 8. And when I got this keyboard piano for Christmas, I had played it night and day. I might have played it even more than I played the drum set when I got the drum set. But the keyboard piano really started to tweak my creativity my musical creativity in a way, because it was like I could put on like pre-recorded songs. They had like pre-recorded songs on the piano, and if you put a number in, it'll play a certain song for you. So this is at the point where I started to, you know, like melody more and harmony. Uh, I already had the rhythm down packed just from practicing the drums for so long. Um, and so at about the age of 10 or 11, I was interested in songwriting. Sorry about that. I became interested in songwriting. Um, and what I mean by that, I wasn't really too complex with it. I was just interested in the fact that I could make a verse and a chorus, and then it could say whatever I wanted it to say. Um, but I didn't get too involved into songwriting until, I should say, high school is when I started to, come up with things that sounded a little bit better than what I would make as a kid. Next slide. Middle school to high school. So in seventh grade, I participated in the band class. It was pretty fun. I never been in a band before that. So I played the snare drum, and so beating on the snare drum every day, every time we had that class was pretty fun. And this is when I learned how to read music for the first time in my whole life. So I didn't know anything about reading music or sheet music, staff music, anything like that. I just before seventh grade would just anytime I make music would just come up with it, just spur of the moment, or just I would just make what I thought sound good. But seventh grade is really when I took the time to learn the staff and all the notes that go in the staff, as well as time signature and you know and so my focus changed to sports in eighth grade. So eighth grade I was playing basketball. I loved it. That pretty much like took over my whole focus. Um, if it wasn't schoolwork related, then it was basketball. I had practice every day of the week, and when I didn't have practice, I had games. So it was pretty tough, but that's what my focus shifted to. And I still was a musician, but you know, sports just ultimately just kind of took over. Um, so in 10th grade, I got another drum set. So I know I said I got a drum set when I was 7 years old, but that was like a junior drum set. It was like a drum set for kids, if you will. And so this drum set that I got in 10th grade was bigger. It was, a little bit more advanced. It was for the big boys. So I had to really learn how to play the drums at this point. This is when I really learned how to put together songs, how to mix time signatures with each drum. I learned how to, uh, you know, just come up with different compositions that sounded way better than you know what I would make as a kid, and it helped me to know my potential in music. So when I got this drum set in 10th grade, it helped me to know that uh, I could actually take this music serious, and it's not just a hobby that I had. I could actually maybe possibly go somewhere with this, or um, now I'm studying in college. So um, in 11th grade, I took piano lessons. Um, that was pretty fun. It was the first time I took piano lessons. Like I said, this 10th and 11th grade is my first years I ever learned how to play any type of sheet music, or so I was still learning. 11th grade, I was just starting out in the piano. really wanting to learn what I was playing and uh, where I wanted to go with the piano. So I was playing the piano and the drums at the same time. Studying how to get better with both. And I was part of this go-go band called Crank Too Crucial. It was me and a group of my friends. Um, I would practice the drum set and the piano all day, every day because we had little gigs that we would have around the neighborhood or at rec centers and stuff like that. And so uh, it really benefited me 10th and 11th grade studying the drum set and the piano. Now, I didn't really study music uh, in 12th grade, but I was, still reading sheet music um, for my piano lessons uh, and I had some drum rhythms that I would be always practice on, but I wasn't really studying music outside of what I wanted to do, what I was studying with the piano and the drum set. Um, so college days. This is when things pretty much got serious for me. Um, I started off in community college, Prince George's Community College to be exact. I had a pretty rough ride just trying to wrap my head around where I wanted to go with my degree, which degree I wanted to pursue. Um, but I did know that I had a knack for music, and that thought was always in the back of my mind that okay, maybe I could study music, somehow in college. But when I first started in community college in 2010, it didn't make much sense. I believe I was a computer engineering major, and then I switched my major to audio production and engineering. And yeah, I took music courses over at Prince George's Community College. This is where I learned um, the DAW Fruity Loops, which is like a digital audio workstation, and that you can use to make music and stuff like that. But this is the first time that I learned Fruity Loops, which was at PG Community College, and I'm glad that I did learn Fruity Loops back then because I'm still able to, you know, get around the software pretty easily. Um, so I transferred to Bowie State University in 2018. This is where um, things pretty much like got even more advanced for me. Uh, I was part of the music tech program, um, and so a lot of the things that I didn't get to study uh, in Prince George Community College, I was able to study at Bowie State University. Um, the reason why I chose Bowie State University was it was close to home. You know, I never really was big on uh, leaving out of state for college, but so this was like the perfect pick for me. It was like the perfect fit. Also, it was affordable. A lot of the other music schools, like Full Sail University, they cost a lot more for tuition, and so this just pretty much just seemed like the best bet for me. They offered what I needed, and they were convenient for me to get to and from. So yeah, at Bowie State University, I studied a myriad of things, including music theory, music business, music production, music composition, music engineering, and some theater courses as well. Um, Bowie State's music technology program. So I took some music courses, which furthered my knowledge of everything that I needed to know, uh, as far as like music history, um, a lot of the great composers from the 18th, the 19th, the 20th century, to the 21st century. Sorry, um, and I learned how to engineer music. I learned music theory. Now I learned music theory some when I was in PG Community College, but on up until a certain level. And then once I got to Bowie State University, it was like, okay, I know what I know about music theory, and I know what I don't know about music theory. So once I got to Bowie State, I pretty much just got all the theory that I needed, which was just me um, learning the whole scientifics of music, if you will. Um, I learned how to notate music, and that was my first semester in college. I'm sorry, in Bowie State. Um, so notating music was pretty cool for me because, uh, the whole electronic composition thing. I I always worked with things electronically, but never really like transferred sheet music to the computer or electronically. So that was pretty new for me. Um, okay, FL Studio is my DAW of choice, and why FL Studio is my DAW of choice is because FL Studio is the easiest software for me to use when composing, editing, and mixing pieces of music. Now, like I said before, like I learned FL Studio in Prince George Community College, so that was a pretty long time ago. But um, just for me, this software is the software that stuck with me the most because I've used it the most. I've used it in studios while recording. I've used it at friends' house while recording, and making beats and things like that. So I'm pretty sound when it comes to using FL Studio. I'm more adjusted to using FL Studio than Reason, Logic Pro, Ableton, etc. There's a lot of other DAWs, but FL Studio, to me is better. I mean, the whole interface. I'm more adjusted to FL Studio's interface. All the buttons, where everything is, opposed to Reason, Logic Pro, Ableton, and other softwares that there are. Um, Also, FL Studio is affordable. Um, considering all of the things that they have within the software, whichever package you would get, it's I believe it's affordable for the things that you're going to get with the package. Um, they got some good plugins. Uh, this is like one of the first things that I noticed about the software. When you make sounds, when you make tracks on the software, you could add these things in called plugins that make your sounds sound better. It kind of like maximizes the potential of your musical tracks. Um, it has a nice interface. Like I already explained, the interface is just like uh, you got everything you need right there in front of you. You don't have to do too much clicking around to pull up things that you need right then and there. It's kind of like just as soon as you start a new project, everything is going to be right there in front of you. Um, Also, it has high quality synthesizer sounds. Um, Now the synthesizer sounds. This is like the funnest, the best part of utilizing the software to me because uh, when you make the sounds, when you make tracks on the software, I've used other softwares and the synthesizer sounds that the that the DAW comes with doesn't sound as high quality as the sounds in FL Studio, and so especially like 808 basses and 808 claps, the whole 808 drum kits, the 909 drum kits, um, the guitars, the piano instruments are, I mean, it's just all the way high quality. I love it. Putting it into action. Okay, so this is where things get a little interesting. So in FL Studio, how we would put um some of the things that we already talked about into action. Uh, FL Studio has five main assist you in composing music on its software. These components are a channel rack, a piano roll, a playlist, a mixer, and a browser. The channel rack is pretty much where you drag and drop all your instruments that you would get from your browser, and your browser is located to the left of the channel rack. You would drag your instruments from the browser area and then drop it into the channel rack. And this is where selected instruments are located for composition. So all of your instruments that are in your composition are going to be stacked right here at this channel rack thing. Um, the next component is the piano roll. A piano roll is a music storage medium used to operate a player piano, piano player, or reproducing piano. So pretty much what it is just um, a window that acts like a piano, and where you what you do is if you look at it from the side, it actually looks like a piano. You can see like a piano on the side of it, but if you look at it from the side, it's like you can actually see where you would be adding notes into the piano. And sorry, there's actually a visualization at the bottom to showing you like what it would look like when you add notes on the piano roll. The next component would be the playlist. Now, the playlist is just an arrangement of song. So it's pretty much just where all of your clips, all of your musical tracks that you already composed, you're going to take it to the playlist. And this is where you arrange your whole song, clip by clip, or instrument track by instrument track. So um, you can put them in order. You can put them in any type of order that you want them to. You can have the song start and stop however you want it to. Yeah, again, this is where a lot of the fun happens. Um, the next component is the mixer. Now, the mixer is pretty much where a lot of your engineering and mixing and mastering is going to happen, because this is where you're changing the dynamics of all of your sounds in your composition. And so um, your mixer is pretty much your end product of music. This is where you're finalizing all of your sounds to um, be ready to be mixed down to an MP3 or a WAV file, or however you're going to do it. Um, this is where you adjust your sound volume. So all of your sounds from each of your clips, each of your instrument tracks, you're gonna, well, you have the capability to, you know, adjust the sound volume. You can lower the sound volume, or you could raise it. You could also add effects to each one of your sounds. Um, Effects include reverb, echo, delay, these type of things. Things that make your sound, your composition sound different, a little bit different than um, how it was when you first made it. Also, you adjust the velocity of individual sounds. So you can adjust the velocity at the bottom. Um, there's like a little wheel where you could like change the velocity for each sound that you want. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is the file browser. The file browser provides access to projects, samples, preset libraries, and VST plugins. Now, I use this frequently when I'm making my beats because this is like the only place where you drag and drop the instruments into the channel rack. So you wouldn't be able to even start to make music or even gauge the piano roll if you don't um, drag and drop the instruments from the browser area. So the file browser, I find that to be very useful. Um, so I'm going to look at a couple things in FL Studio. Just pull that up. Okay, so here I have a couple of things going on. Here's the channel rack. This thing that I'm moving around right here. The channel rack, as explained, it has all of my instruments lined up. I already have a few patterns already for these instruments, but yeah, the channel rack is just for just where the instruments go before you start to create patterns or melodic lines for each instrument. So after the channel rack, we have the piano roll. The piano roll, this thing that I'm moving right here, allows you to add notes into this grid like thing, which acts as like the piano notes. You can kind of line them up whichever way you want to, and it'll play back however you want it to sound. Um, so next we have the mixer. The mixer is where you could add a lot of effects and things to each individual track. And so if you look at the channel rack, each instrument is numbered, has a specific assigned number to it. So each instrument is able to be edited in the mixer. So you can add effects or turn the volume down or turn it up if you want. It's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. Um, the next thing we're going to talk about, as we mentioned before, the browser. The browser is over here on the left side. If you just scroll down, you can see all of the instruments that it contains. Um, yeah, so this is pretty much where you're going to get all your instruments to add to over here in the channel rack. Um, okay, and we're going to take a look at the playlist. The playlist is where you arrange your song. So after you got your each melody for each instrument, you're going to, as I explained before, each instrument has a certain track number assigned in the um, channel rack. So if I click this one or any of them, they're however I got them placed within this grid, it's going to just follow from start to finish. Yeah, like I said, FL Studio is pretty easy to navigate around. Yeah, I've been using FL Studio for a long time, so yeah, I plan on using it for a little while longer. Um. Okay, so here's the track that I created in FL Studio. This is what it sounds like. My transition from BSU to the workplace. I plan to start an internship in sound design. Also, I want to be an audio technician. Um, I just want to kind of get my foot in the door with that. Uh, I'm also a part of the audio video ministry in my church. So, you know, hopefully I'll get some good experience out of that. Um, and I want to be a producer as well, maybe like on the freelance side of things. But, I'm definitely going to try to stay hands on as much as possible with, producing and engineering, just so I can, keep myself, you know, well grounded with those things. As far as getting in contact with me, my email address is nil3 underscore 257 at yahoo.com. I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation and thank you.